Our Constitution lives only to the extent it lives in us.
Our liberties are seriously in jeopardy. This is not just some abstract issue about the Constitution. The Constitution was written to preserve our liberties. And that's what's at stake. No more and no less.
That's why we have checks and balances. We do not have people in power who are angels. Ambition has to be made to counteract ambition. And we need more sunlight and more discussion, not less. And ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution lies in our hands. Grover Cleveland, in his first inaugural, said he took a constitutional oath to support and defend, our charter. But he also said every citizen has a duty to be vigilant and to evaluate and check government officials who do wrong. If we don't exercise that responsibility, insist on impeachment, make it a litmus test for voting every bit as much as the NRA makes gun control, a litmus test, it is our fault.
It is up to us to protect our democracy, to send a clear message to this president and to future presidents that they must uphold the law, that we are not going down the road of military dictatorship, that we're not going down the road of tyranny, that we're going to preserve our liberties and the rule of law and our constitutional democracy. That is what kept this country going for 200 years plus.
We have a dysfunctional government right now. Our framers gave us a government with 3 parts, and in the last 7 years, it's been converted into 1. All's not lost, but the hour is getting very late. And it is essential that we as citizens stand for our Constitution and our constitutional order. And there is one tool that will provide for the regeneration of our Constitution, and that tool is impeachment.
Because if it's not impeachment, this Congress folds every time in the face of executive privilege. And again, it's just astonishing to me that Congress sits there like an invertebrate species and does nothing as all of its power is being migrated to the executive branch.
Most Americans do not want an imperial president. But the press hasn't really informed them that impeachment is an option.
We do need to remember that the United States was born because we wanted to be different from some other countries. There are certain things we don't do because it's the United States of America, like torture or waterboarding. We don't make a cost-benefit analysis. We don't do it because we're Americans and we're civilized.
It was illegal. It was a criminal act the day he was inaugurated as president. And it's a criminal act today, and this never changed. And this president's use of these techniques is a high crime and misdemeanor and is a grounds for his removal from office.
This is open and notorious things that Bush boasts about. It's not archaeological expeditions looking for hidden evidence. We know what he's doing with the signing statements. We know what his decisions are with regard to enemy combatants and combining judge, jury, and prosecutor. What's there to investigate? It's only to examine what he's done against the Constitution and laws and decide to vote. That's pretty simple and fast. The other thing to remember is this. If impeachment doesn't happen to Bush and Cheney, what they have done will set a shield that will protect every one of their successors forever.
If the facts show that they have committed impeachable offenses, which I believe the facts already show, then they have to be removed from office. This is not just some kind of playing a game, finding out what the truth is. This is to enforce the rule of law against the president. And if there are no teeth to what we do, if there are no consequences, if people aren't held accountable, then what is the lesson to history and what is the lesson to future presidents?
We have created more terrorists with this duplicitous attitude of the rule of law than all of our soldiers, heroic and courageous as they are, have killed. And we are therefore more insecure than we were before this exercise began.
With all the information on the record, there's enough now to warrant the impeachment of George W. Bush and Cheney.
Remember the revolutionary idea. We're not vassals, we're not serfs. We have control of our own destiny. That's what gives us dignity. Whether we make errors or not, we are the ones who are deciding, not somebody who says I'm king or otherwise. That mentality is critical to the preservation of the Constitution.
When you start to play politics with the issue of constitutional, the rule of law and the preservation of our Constitution, you can make a lot of mistakes. And if these people think that they're going to win the election because they're holding off on impeachment, we could lose this election, Democrats. So what are we talking about? Do we want the next president just to carry on just the same way? Torture, waterboarding, violation of the law? I don't think so.
Simply putting in a new president on January 20th, 2009 is not going to make the difference. The question is, are we going to get our Constitution back? Are we going to have a Congress that stands up and asserts the prerogatives that the Constitution gives to Congress? Because I don't want another imperial president.
And if we don't run them out of office before the end of office, and if presidents think that they can get away with violating blatantly and openly and notoriously the rules of law of this country, the actual statutes of this country, then God help us.
The fact that we're coming to the end of his term is, in my mind, a greater reason to proceed with impeachment. This is not about punishing George Bush. It's about setting the Constitution straight.